What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Destination Outdoors. We're going to be going over what I believe quite possibly might be the best jug. I put a lot of thought into these things. If you're anything like me, you grew up catching catfish as a little kid, and you could pretty much grab whatever you could find that could float, tie a string to it or fishing line to it with a hook. You know, something like this. No oil jug with a hook and a weight on it, or maybe you even have, old beat up jug lines, noodles, whatever you want to call them, laying around that you've been using for years. Just, typical open PVC pipe with a little pull noodle and old string or whatever. Nothing fancy, right? Both of these things will obviously catch catfish. There's no denying that. They do the trick, but you can make better ones that will increase your chances. And I think I made one that's got a bunch of bells and whistles to it. A few bells and whistles that I've never even seen before. Looking at it, it doesn't look like anything too special. It's capped on both ends. It looks like, a nice jug, but nothing crazy. But I'm going to show you all how to build it. And as we're going through it, you're going to see what makes this thing so special. And I'm going to explain it to you as we're putting it together. All right, so first I want to go over everything that you need. Obviously, you need pull noodle. These pull noodles are cut into 11-inch sections. It's actually very important that you cut the noodle and everything else I'm about to tell you to this exact length. If you don't, the noodle's not going to operate properly as it's supposed to. And then we have 3/4 inch PVC pipe. This is cut to 20 inches. We have a screw eye, a barrel swivel with an interlock snap on it, and then a 1-ounce egg sinker, 2 end caps, 3/4 inch PVC end caps, either an Allen wrench or a screwdriver, some PVC cement. This is just all-purpose cement, rain or shine. This is a 10-inch piece of reflective tape. This is just white duct tape. And then this is a 1/2-inch steel bar. It's about 4 inches. And then this guy right here is about 3 inches of, I believe it's 5/8 inch steel bar. You do not need both of these. Just pick a size. You just have to be mindful that if you get 1/2 inch, that you do not need to cut it as wide. You need a good pair of pliers, some scissors, fishing line or some trout line, a drill with a drill bit on it. Obviously, need your hook too. This is just a 4/0 circle hook. Very important to use a circle hook. If you use a straight shaft hook, your hookup ratio is not going to be nearly as good. These enable those noodles. It's not like setting the hook with a rod and reel where you can drive a straight shaft hook into a fish's mouth. These do a much better job of hooking themselves. But first thing you're going to want to do is get your PVC pipe. Once you have that, go ahead and get some of your PVC cement. And we don't want to put a ton. We just want to put a decent amount. It's okay if we have some spewing out from under the cap up here, just because that pull noodle is getting pushed up to this end. You'll see what I'm talking about. But we got that on. Get the cap on there pretty quick before that stuff dries. And as you're pushing down, I wouldn't just go straight down. I'd spin it and twist it to get it a good seal all the way around. I don't know if y'all can see that, but the blue, there's no open gaps. Water is not going to be getting inside of this. Once we give that just a second to dry, it doesn't take long, we're going to start putting some cement. I don't know how big, maybe a little less than halfway down this. And do not be shy with this stuff, guys. One little can of this cement will last you a long ways. And remember, like I said at the beginning of this video, we're making this for the long run. These are not noodles or jugs that you're going to throw away 2 or 3 years from now. These are going to last you a very, very long time. But we got the cement on there. Like I said, a little less than halfway up the PVC. And then the same thing with this noodle. Rather than just pushing it straight up, I want to spin as I'm putting it on there. That really helps all that glue get wrapped all the way around the noodle. And voila. We'll let that dry real quick, and that is not going to go anywhere, I promise you. That is staying there. While that is drying, we're going to get our other end cap, get our drill with our drill bit on it. I would tell you what size this is, but it really ultimately just depends on what size your screw eye is. You basically just want a bit that is slightly smaller than the diameter of your screw eye. We're going to get this bit, get our cap, and just drill a hole directly in the middle of that cap, just like that. Go ahead and get our screw. It's going to be, if you drilled the right size hole, it should be pretty hard. You should be able to get 3 or 4 turns, and then it should get super hard. Like right now, it's really hard. That's what this guy's for. Or if you don't have a good Allen wrench, one stout enough, you can just get like a screwdriver or something. Just something you can stick in this hole right here. I prefer an Allen wrench because it kind of hooks around this eye. Something you can stick in this hole right here, and then we'll use that. Just hold the cap and turn it. We're going to get this eye pretty much all the way down. You don't want to go too far, but get it down there pretty dang good. Now, everything up to this point, you've probably seen before. There's 1,000 jug line videos on the internet. This is where stuff's going to start getting different. As you can see here, I got one piece of a noodle. There's a bunch of holes cut out in it. Let me show you why. I got a razor blade. You could just do this with a knife. But basically what I'm doing is I'm just cutting out a little hole just the right size to fit. So I cut it, and then you can easily just pop it out with your fingers. Just the right size to fit within this cap. You can almost see how it makes like a pyramid shape. We're gonna get our glue and put a pretty good amount, nothing too crazy, just directly in our cap. I like going along the side of the screw here. I'm not sure if y'all can see how much glue's in there, but there's a good amount. Now before that dries, we're gonna take this guy that we just cut out and place it in here. As we're putting it down, you can screw it onto that screw. Don't just set it straight down. It'll help grab it. Once we've kind of given that a minute to dry, we're gonna get our PVC pipe and our noodle, get our steel bar, and drop it down in here. Notice, remember how loud that noise was it just made. It's pretty loud. And then after that, get some more of our glue. We'll go around this end. And then we're getting our cap that we just put that in with our screw eye on it. Same thing, don't just push straight down. Twist it as you're going. Just make sure that glue goes all the way around and we got a really good seal. See how much of that's oozing out. And if you wanted to, just to make it more uniform, I mean, you see that big glob right there, right? You could get a rag before it dries. Just give it one of these numbers right here, just to clean it up. But now that we've let this dry for a minute or two, I'm gonna show you why we put that pull noodle on this end. So when you go to set this in the water, flip it upside down. Your line's baited and everything. You're gonna set it up by the boat or off the bank, whatever. Flip it upside down. Make sure the weight is all the way down here at the top. And then when you set it in the water, set it flat. Do not let the bottom end go like this or your weight's gonna come back down to the tag end of the noodle. Set it in the water, it's gonna be sitting just like this, right? But when you get a bite, a fish will pull on the line right here, causing that weight to fall down to this side, just like that. Now, whether you either got robbed of your bait and don't have any bait left, or you have a fish that's not moving, your pull noodle is gonna be sitting in the water about right here. Water level is gonna be about where my hand is. This is super beneficial. I can't tell you how many times I've been throwing like noodles like I was showing at the beginning of the video, where, you know, we're throwing noodles all night long or all day long. And when we go to pick them up, out of like 30 or 40 noodles, there's like 2 of them that have bait still on them. We had no idea we've been fishing on credit for who knows how long. By putting those strike indicators in here, you see this noodle like that, you know you either need to go rebait it or you got a fish on there that ain't really moving. So super helpful. You're never wasting your time out there fishing when you don't even have any bait on the hook. But now to the reason why we put that piece of foam on this end. The top side doesn't have foam, right? You can hear how loud it is when it hits. The bottom side does have foam. When a fish pulls on here, causing that weight to drop down here, I would imagine, I'm not a catfish, but I would imagine, especially if this is a more shallow noodle, that weight slamming against this side would cause a bunch of noise. Might scare a fish off that's just, you know, barely got a bait in its mouth and just nibbling on it. So by putting that pull noodle in here, you can see how much quieter it makes it compared to this, right? Another thing that does is it kind of keeps the weight off of the tip of your screw on the inside of this. This thing ain't going anywhere, and at the end of the video, the last step, we're gonna put some glue around this eye just to double check that it's sealed and to keep it there. But you also don't want a heavy weight just smacking on this thing every time it gets tipped upside down. Your next step, this is another thing I don't see many people do. This is just reflective tape, right? We're gonna get this pulled off about halfway. We're gonna put this at the very, very top of our noodle, just like this. Go all the way around. You wanna make sure that you make it big enough, because this pool noodle isn't the most, adhesive thing when we're talking about sticking tape to it, right? It'll get wet and it'll expand or whatever. So you wanna make sure you make your tape long enough to where it overlaps on itself, 2 inches or so, because that's going to be where your best bite is. And then we're going to kind of pack that down. That ain't going anywhere, I promise. Now what this does, I don't know if you guys are like me, but I live in Texas. It's super hot during the summertime. My favorite thing to fish for in the summertime is probably catfish, and throwing jugs is probably my favorite way to do it. So with it being so hot, we always fish at night. If you got 50 jugs out, and especially if they're spread out, it can be hard to see these guys, even though they're pink or green or whatever bright color they are. By putting this reflective tape on it, it makes it 10 times easier to see. You can see one of these guys from hundreds of yards away, pitch black with a spotlight. So that's why this is beneficial. Something super cheap you can do to all your noodles, and it makes a huge difference in my opinion. After that, I don't know what state you live in. In Texas, you have to mark your jug lines. I believe in most states you have to too. Easiest way to do that is just with white duct tape. You can use gray duct tape, just regular duct tape, or whatever color you want. I just chose white because I think it also makes it a little bit easier to see, and it's just easier to read. That's the same thing though. We overlapped it from about right here to right here. So make sure you don't forget to overlap so it gets a good bond, tape to tape, not just tape on noodle. That's not everything. We're not done yet. We also got something a little different in our line, so that's the next step. So you want to get your trout line. One benefit to these noodles with the way that I'm doing it is you can make this line as long as you want, and you'll be able to interchange them. That's why we have this barrel swivel with an interlock on it. So I'm gonna make this one, I don't know, it's about 8 foot or so. Go ahead and cut my line. And then first thing we're gonna do, get our 1 ounce weight, and you can get whatever size weight you want, just depending on the current that you plan on fishing. We're gonna put it about, 16, 18 inches from the end of the line. Just do a double overhand knot. There's one. That first one, make sure you pull down really good on it. So first overhand, and here's our second overhand. When you're using this trout line like this, that's not going anywhere, I promise. And then after we got the hook, or after we got the weight on there, go ahead and thread our 4/0 hook on there, 4/0 circle hook. Same thing with a circle hook. We're just gonna do 2 overhand knots. I know it doesn't seem like much, but when you're using this trout line like this, overhand knot is plenty strong enough to hold this hook on there. Fishing line, you wouldn't want to do this, but trout line, you do. The reason you use trout line on these noodles is because it'll last you a lot longer. If you just use like mono or fluorocarbon or even just braided fishing line, it's going to fray over time and deteriorate, and it's just, your noodles ain't going to last very long. You're going to be making new lines. Did the first overhand. One thing I want to point out, this is why we have our pliers. After you do your first overhand knot, remember we're doing 2 on this hook, you want to get a really, really good cinch down on it. So get your pliers, your other end, pull it tight. And then just for safe measure, I'll tell you a second one. It's just a little safety. You can even get your pliers and tighten that second one down too. The reason we go with 4/0, at least I do, is because this size hook can catch you a pound catfish. This size hook can catch you a 40-pound catfish, and everything in between. When we're talking about big catfish, you might, if you're just targeting big catfish and throwing like live bluegill in here, you might want to get a little bit bigger hook, like, I don't know, a size or 2 up, 6/0, maybe a 7/0. Yes, sir. Thank you. Appreciate it. Amazon done dropped something off. Or if you're targeting smaller fish, you might even want to go down to like a 3/0. But this is like a good all-around size. I'm going to be fishing with cut bait, shad, maybe the occasional bluegill. So this is a good, like, do-it-all size hook. Now that we got our weight and our hook tied on here, I'm going to go to our other end of our line, tie it onto the barrel end of our barrel swivel. Feed it through that hole, just like that. Same thing, double overhand knot. I know it doesn't seem like much, guys, but I'm telling you, with a trout line, if you've never used them before, double overhand knot is a strong knot. plenty strong enough to get the job done with this kind of line. Same thing, go ahead and cinch her on down good with our pliers. Cut our tag end off. You want to make sure you leave just a little bit left. I left a little bit of my tag end on there, and I left a little bit of my tag end on here. I'm about to show you why. Because you're going to get your lighter, and you're going to go ahead and burn it off. Hello. Hey, babe. And while it's still burning, just push it up against the lighter. You should have something that looks about like that. That'll like really prevent that knot from slipping. And we're going to do the same thing on this side. What up, Pimp?
What's up? I was like, who are you talking to?
It's the YouTubes. What's up? Now that we have our line done, it's as simple as getting our interlock opened up, just like that. Clipping it onto our screw eye and closing it up. The benefit to having it like that, as opposed to tying my fishing line directly to the screw eye, there's two reasons that's beneficial. For one, if you tie directly to the screw eye, your knot's right here, and any fish that's pulling on that, or if you got like a 20 or 30 pounder you're trying to pull up out of the water, pulling it up by the noodle, all the stress from that fish and you fighting it is right here on that knot. Over time, that's going to wear that down, make it weaker and weaker and weaker, to where eventually you're just going to have to retie on here, right? Well, when you use a barrel swivel, you can see, right, this thing spins around and it goes around this eye. It allows that to move more freely around here, right? Your knot is not just tied right here and getting bent every which way and wearing down over time. This just gives it a lot more, room to play and move around. That's one benefit to doing it like this. The biggest benefit to doing it like this is like, I said this line was about, I didn't measure it, but it's about 8 foot long. I could tie a 20 foot long line. I could tie a 3 foot long line. I could tie a 10 foot long line. It don't matter. All it takes to change my depth is to take that off and put the new depth line that I want on here. You just already have some of these pre-made to whatever depth you want to fish. And then guys, once we got that done, I like to store them like this. Just give it a few wraps around till we run out of line. Get the hook, place that hook right into our noodle. There you go, that's it. After we've done that, our last step here, and this isn't even one you have to do. It's not gonna hurt anything. So if you got some glue laying around, you might as well do it. We're just gonna get a little bit of glue, put it right on the tip here of our eye, and just let that dry. And all that's gonna do is just guarantee that we have a solid watertight seal. It definitely requires a lot more work than just doing your typical milk jug or oil jug or whatever you may be using. Like I said at the beginning of this video, those ways are definitely efficient and you can catch fish like that. But I promise you, you're gonna catch a lot more like this. It takes time, a little bit more money, but at the end of the day, it's worth it. I'm excited to use these. I'm gonna finish making them all. We're going on a catfishing trip with I think there's 7 or 8 of us going this weekend, staying the night, camping out on the Trinity River, and we're gonna be throwing jug lines, trout lines, and all that jazz, and should be a good time, man. I'm hoping we're shooting to catch over 100 keepers, but I'm excited to do that, test out the new jug lines. But if you enjoyed the video, guys, please do not forget to hit that subscribe button. All I do is post hunting and fishing videos. If that's what you like to watch, give me a subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. Y'all stay tuned for this catfishing video from this weekend. It should be coming out before too long. I'm excited. And we'll catch you on the next one. Peace.